Happy Tuesday, the 12th of March 2024. How are we all doing? Good week of class, great weight loss. Hard to get maybe back on track after Mother's Day. We have another bank holiday coming up. We had the rugby. As I always say, class, there is always going to be something. It's just how we manage the rest of the week, because of course we have to celebrate different occasions in our lives, but the rest of the week that we need to be on plan to allow for that treat, which the programme does allow us to have that treat once a week, once we don't start writing off time. But I hope that we're all safe and well. Those that couldn't be with us, get well soon, and those that are on holidays, enjoy, and we see you back at class next week. This week's talk is 11 things to remember, so very simple things. Maybe if you're at class you would have looked at the poster as I went through it, or maybe even beforehand, and you might say they're very simple things. But at the end of the class, after discussing it, most have said to me that was a really good talk, I really could connect with it, because these things have to be applied daily. Okay, so it's 11 things to remember. Up first it says that you are enough. So sometimes we just feel that we're not enough, or we're not reaching the bar, and sometimes that can come in our personal relationships, it could come in friendships. Sometimes the in-laws might say, I don't feel like good enough for my son, for my daughter, for different things like that. So sometimes that raises the question in our own head that we are not enough as a person, maybe sometimes as a sister, as a mother, as an auntie, different things that we question, are we actually enough? Because maybe we're not getting that validation. We feel that we're just falling short every time. We're trying to keep other people happy, but they're not really that happy. So we start questioning, am I actually enough for that person? Am I fulfilling their needs, let's say? Even if it is a friendship, obviously a friendship goes both ways. The phone rings in as well as out. So it is to remember that you are enough as you are. Okay, and even identical twins, which we've had in the class, is identical twins, they do not have the same DNA. No one in this planet has the same DNA. That's how unique you are. So you are enough. Number 2 then says, your mind runs your life. So runs your life. So to stay positive, as I always say in the class, it'd be great if we could just take our head off, leave it there and say, I'll be back to you and I can deal with you. But we're dealing with our own thoughts 24/7, that we don't get that break. But your mind does run your life. Okay, so when we have positive, we attract positive, like what we're going to talk about more in the talk. But where we can, to stay positive, I know it's not always possible when we're in a dark place to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but where we can turn the negative into a positive, maybe start our day with a positive thought. Even if we wake up maybe after a sleepless night, we wake up tired, before we get out of bed, think of something positive. Maybe, I'm not encouraging looking at the phone, but if that what works, you, the daily text message that goes into our group every day, it's not going to suit every single member, but the ones that does kind of hit home or hit nerve, save them into a folder and set your day up with that positive affirmation in the morning to set the day. Number 3 then, happiness comes from within. So it is an inside job. Sometimes we think it comes from a relationship, it comes from being married, it comes from kids, it comes from a certain house, it comes from a certain job, a certain lifestyle, but it really is an inside job. As we talked about in class, being alone and lonely are two different things. You could be feeling lonely but be standing in Croke Park with 80,000 people. So I think most get what I'm saying on that. So happiness really is an inside job. I had a friend who taught when we were in school, I should be happy once she gets married, gets out of the family home, has her own kids, her job and different things. When she got that, then she started moving from house to house, from job to job, chasing and moving further away from Dublin, further away from our support network, our family and our friends. Well, looked like chasing the dream, but she was never really happy. Because again, that's an inside job. We have to be happy with ourselves before other things can add in, and other things do help that, like lifestyle and family and kids and different things, but really we have to be happy within ourselves before we can have that external happiness. Okay, our next one then says thoughts and words and actions, that equals our life. And I think it can be a good or a bad thing, but our thoughts, our words and our actions, a very old saying, our actions speak louder than words. Maybe as we're growing up, we're taught, if someone says I love you, let them show you rather than say it, because it's very easy to say those words, very easy to say any words, but by someone's actions you know that they're a friend, that they're always there, that they're not just saying, oh yeah, give us a shout if you feel down or different things. So really that's what our life is our thoughts, our words and our actions equals our life. And remember what we've talked about in the series of psychological talks about anxiety, that what you can control, so everything on this talk is within our control, that we can control. The things that we can't control, we have to let go and not try and fix them. Work on what is within our power. Our next one then, number 5, says your vibe attracts your tribe. So that's a very powerful one. You know yourself, positivity breeds positivity. Likewise, negativity breeds negativity. It's like I have 2 different friends, and one I'm delighted to be in a company. I hate having to leave them because it's belly laughs all the way. And I have another friend that I'm looking at the watch saying, how am I going to get out of this early? because I just feel mentally, emotionally, physically drained from the conversation. It's never an upbeat conversation. And I try to be there for that friend as much as possible, but you have to know your own limits. So your vibe, what your vibe is what it attracts. So like, even as I got to share in the class, like even walking down the road, maybe just saying hello, making eye contact with someone, that can make their day, because sometimes it is an Irish thing. How's things, how are you? And we say, oh yeah, grand, yeah, and then we move on to something else, the weather or the shops or the price of living or different things like that. So it really is the question, how are you? So you know, when someone sincerely asks how you are, you feel then that you can open up to them. And that's just a very simple example. Number 6 then, it says your kindness changes lives. So it doesn't have to be a gift or cost money, just an act of kindness. So unfortunately, a couple of years ago when Caroline Flack died, that motto was, in a world where you can be anything, absolutely anything, is to be kind to one another, because we just don't know what the next person is going through. And you know yourself, there is more happiness in giving than receiving, but that kindness, it does change life. And you might think, well, it's only something small, like a smile, like a gesture, like a cup of coffee, simple things, but that is what changes lives. Okay, is our kindness, and that's when the feel good factor comes in, and that's what this is about, these 11 things to remember, because these are things that can trigger us to eat, to overindulge in the wrong type of food, maybe miss class, the scales goes up, our mental health gets affected. So it's a multitude of things in there. Number 7 then is progress, not perfection. So progress goals are process goals, not perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. As much as we strive and try for that perfect situation in our life, it's not there, but progress goals is. So your progress goal for this week could be that you're the member that's going to keep a food diary, despite a bank holiday weekend, a Paddy's Day, a big day. I'm going to drink me 2 litres of water. I'm going to watch portion size. I'm going to stop eating late at night. Maybe it could be the member that is, well, I have stopped eating maybe at 9 o'clock because I go to bed at 11 or half 11. Maybe bring that an hour earlier. Maybe 8 o'clock is the cut-off point. Or maybe rather than subtracting something, I just got to share this in the classes, rather than subtracting something from what's already there, why not add? So add in, well, I'm going to do 15 minutes of exercise every day. I'm going to try and get extra 1,000 steps in a day. I'm going to have more water. So to maybe add something in rather than subtract. Number 8 then is gratitude creates abundance. Okay, so like that, we all have something to be grateful for. Again, I understand when we're in the dark place, it's very hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel and see what we're grateful for. What I find good is doing a quick three item list. Maybe I might text it to Sam, or I might just do a quick note, read over the 3 things that I'm grateful for in that moment, and it just grounds you. It brings you back really back to basics, and does ground you. And then you can delete the message. You don't have to send it on or anything like that. It's just 3 things to write down what you're grateful for in that moment, and it can just totally change things and spin things on its head. Next then it says, number 9, heal your gut, then trust your gut. So I did get to share personal experience in class, and I don't have the time on the video to do that, but it is really important to heal your gut. So usually what happens there is something that is from our past. It could be from our childhood, because obviously our childhood creates who we are now, the adults that we are now. But it is really to heal your gut from anything that's there that is reoccurring, or that is maybe sabotaging your weight loss journey because you can't move on from it. It's a trigger to overeat, overindulge in the wrong type of food, maybe alcohol in there as well, the combination of both. So really to heal your gut, whatever that takes. We all know maybe it could be a little bit of counselling, it could be talking to a friend, it could be maybe addressing the problem with the person that it could be with, and then move on. And really it is to trust your gut, because your gut generally never lets us down. It's a little bit like when I was watching Loose Women last week, and the panel was talking about, do you trust your gut when you meet people? And maybe if you watch Celebrity Big Brother, you can see the initial start was they had to eliminate 3 people, pick 3 people that they hadn't even met, just go and judge off their character, which might have seemed a little bit unfair. And sometimes we don't want to go off our gut, because sometimes you might feel, Jenny, I'm very negative about people, and sometimes it just turns out to be right, because that is what your gut is at to tell you in that moment. So it is like your vibe attracts your tribe, because we are a very good read of people, and we can get that vibe or get that feeling from certain people, and maybe they're just not our people, let's say. So our next one just says, number 10 is your smile can change the energy. You know yourself, a smile, and even in the class when I smile like that, everyone in the class smiled, we all got a little bit of a giggle, and it can just change the atmosphere in the room when someone smiles. It's a little like maybe you go into a retail shop and you're looking for a little bit of help, or you could go into the bank and someone is there with a frown. You kind of say, oh, I'm not going to ask them for help, they must be having a bad day. But if someone is looking at you, they have a smile and they're welcome, you say, oh, is there any chance you could help me? And it just changes maybe that situation or that environment that we're in. Our last one, number 11, is don't stress, is to breathe. So again, nobody goes out looking for stress. We'd be insane if we were to look for stress. It just has a way of finding us. But it is to breathe through it rather than eat through the stress. Let the dust settle. Okay, that's very important. And just to breathe rather than stress, let's start breathing. Let's start using our coping mechanisms, because sometimes, most of the time while we're all here, the coping mechanism is eat. Momentarily it fixes the problem, but long term it doesn't. It actually adds on to the problems that we would be experiencing. So your little motto for this week, again, it's a deep one, is we overthink happiness, because sometimes what we think, and again, social media is a lot to blame for this, that we think the grass is always green, that we're looking at someone, maybe they're always out for a meal, or they always seem to go on holidays, or they always have the perfect family picture. We overthink happiness. The grass is green where you water it. Okay, so just to finish the motto, we overthink happiness, keep it simple. There is something good in every moment. Find it and keep your focus there. That's really important. Find it, keep your focus, because there is something good in every moment. Live for your moment. Live for now, not tomorrow, the weekend, Paddy's Day, bank holiday. Live in that moment every single day of life, because tomorrow is not promised. And my focus is really, I love the beach, the sand, the sounds of the sea. I love the sun on my body. I use my imagination, I put myself there, and that's where my focus is. And again, it can just ground me, brings me back to basics, and gives me that level head just to think rather than that overthinking that we tend to do. So I hope the talk helps. 11 things to remember. I want us all to have a great week, to stay safe. You know the drill. Any positive or negative feedback, please get in touch. And I'm looking forward to a full house, full classes next week after bank holiday. Please remember, Monday evening class is moved to Tuesday evening, same time, same venue. And I'll see you there in a brand new show next week when we're heading towards the end of March. So it's time for change, folks. Have a good one and stay safe. And those that aren't well, get well soon. And we'll see you really soon. Big hugs and kisses.